You got a lot of young players that's reaching out to you now.
Yeah.
You know, your advice to them, like what you tell them, like how does that feel?
Depends what they ask. I mean, like a lot of them will come and ask about their game and things that they should do and things like that. And I say, listen, you know the answer to that. I don't know. Like, you know what makes you uncomfortable when you play. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing for kids nowadays is that they want to rely on coaches too much and workout guys. You know, which is fine to have them help you work out, but you have to tell them what you need. Right? You have to be able to say, okay, I feel uncomfortable with this. And if you don't know, then you're not as prepared as you should be, right? You need to know what your strengths and weaknesses are first. And then, you know, I can tell you some of the things, some of the rhythmic things, or some of the exercises, or how much repetition you need to be doing on certain things. But you got to know your game.
Love that. Love that. Yeah.
This could be broken down in so many different ways, though.
So many ways.
So many different ways. You go for it first.
Yeah. So, man, this is the reason why I picked this specific clip, y'all, right? Especially for my introvert squad, is because we are definitely those people who need constant confirmation. We need constant feedback, constant approval of, yes, this is right, keep going. And we've heard so many people talk about it on the show, either ones that we have played their clips or people that we've brought on and interviewed and said, hey, tell us about your secrets. How did you build your brand? How did you build your business? And they all talk about this constant factor of trusting their intuition, being authentically them. At some point, as an introvert, you have to embrace what you bring to the marketplace. Because we've talked about the value factor before and said that whatever is most valuable is typically rare in its existence, meaning that there's not much of it. I've been taking L's like crazy on the sneaker app, and we've been laughing about it legit the last 3 or 4 months. Like, yo, every single week, L, nope, sorry. I'm just like, yo, what Illuminati is behind this? For real, seriously, I need to know, right? You told me to get multiple screens, and I got multiple screens, and guess what? I got multiple L's. So where I would normally get just one, unbelievable, yo, unbelievable. But guess what? It's because Jordan has put the value on his product that it's rare.
Right.
And because it's rare in its existence, its price is high, its demand is high, and it sells out every single week religiously nonstop. So what I'm saying is, when we're constantly seeking approval, there's a difference between feedback and approval, right? Like, or there's a difference between, hey, I need an adjustment versus, hey, tell me if I'm doing this right. If we're constantly seeking that, you water down your genius. So I can go on this for days, Nicky, but I'm just going to kind of introduce it at least right here. I'm really curious to know even a little bit from your perspective as well, not so much as an introvert, because clearly you're an extrovert, but just that concept of there was a point where clearly, and we talked about it, where you started stepping into your zone like, yo, I'm just about to be straight up and down Nicky, like just fully Nicky, right? Talk to us a little bit about that, because I think that piece is important for everyone listening right now. Because again, as you listen to Kobe, the part that I like the most is he's saying, yo, you're going to a coach and you should know what's wrong, right? Like you at some point should know, hey, here's the problem, here's what I need fixing with, but not that I want to walk by your side and you tell me what to do and I run out and do it. Talk to us about that a little bit.
So, I mean, it goes back to that last part that he said with understanding your strengths and weaknesses, right? So what like me and you've been really big on is really reading into the flight assessment, flightassessment.com, small plug, right? But reading into the assessment and really figuring out our highs and lows, like what is our talents and what are our non-talents, right? And so the only real time that I truly stepped into just being Nicky was when I identified both. Like, I didn't have to play guessing games. I didn't necessarily have to trial and error anymore. I knew this is what I'm dope at and this is what I lack at. This is where I have to either figure out something that can be a system to automate this thing, or I should just find somebody else to do it, right? But also, what's interesting about what he said, and I'm thinking from a branding standpoint, right, is you have to know before even approaching anybody the strengths and weaknesses. And that's also like with not only with yourself, but like with your brand. What are the gaps that it could fill? What can it really do for the audience? What can, the value it adds, but as well as understanding your audience as well, because you could look at it from a standpoint of Kobe is now the coach and all these people are coming to him like, hey, just help me. I don't know what, but help me. And as a coach, you can't necessarily be effective because you don't have the answers for everything, right? You have specific answers, specific solutions. So I think also from a standpoint of like a brand and a business side of things, like you are what Kobe was as the coach. And so you have specific solutions for your audience, aka the players, right? You have to help them identify what they're looking for. You have to say, this is what I do, so they could approach you like, I need this coach. I need this
type of
brand.
help.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why it's important for us as, brands to be like, oh, okay, I have these specific solutions. Because I think that's why also why he said, you know what you need, right? You know that because he also knows like I can't solve everything.
Right.
So I need you to identify to see if this is a perfect fit. Because if you come to me with just help me in basketball, and though I am the best of the best, there's still, I can't help you in generic things. Like maybe I don't know how to go back to the very beginning.
Right.
Maybe I can't teach you how to have handles. Maybe I can't teach you the basic shooting joints, but I know certain defense situations. I know certain advanced techniques. And so if you don't know what you want or what you want to improve, I'm not that person for you.
Right.
Right? And I look at that for even myself, like I'm not for everybody. I'm for specific like personal brands, right? And so big companies and everything like that, I have a social media problem, I have a content problem. What exactly? I can't necessarily help you, right? But if a personal brand goes, I have content problems, I can't come up with ideas. All right, we could talk about that, So that's one of the things, and I know like he was meaning from a coach and a player standpoint, but we have to look at it from just all aspects of, because Kobe's even Mamba mentality can be flipped into just life lessons.
Sure.
And so I look at that clip as like, shoot, if you were a coach, like even a life coach or consultant, that could be a lesson from the strengths and weaknesses thing, from a branding standpoint, from business standpoint, that could be because it's so important to really identify and hone in on those strengths and weaknesses. And I know you don't like saying weaknesses, but it's just the common theme that everybody says.
Yeah. No, I know it's the word that is used to describe weaknesses. That's fine. I'm good with that. I'm against it because I feel that there's a way to diminish weaknesses or to lower weaknesses or to defeat them in a sense. But no, I'm with you. I like how you spun that though, to be honest with you. Shout out to you, by the way. My soundboard is a little too far. I want to press a button and give you like a drop or something. But now I'm just like, yo, that's crazy. You just spun the whole basketball analogy into a branding lesson, but it's real. It's real. It's very real. And it applies, right? It applies. Because I think we've definitely gotten to a place where we've complicated. And most people, when you look at them, again, this is regardless now, it crosses either extrovert or introvert. They get to a point where they make it look so easy. It's just seamless. Like they're in a groove, consistent. They're doing it regularly because they have not complicated the process. They're not constantly second guessing themselves. They're not stopping, writing, deleting, rewriting. Like again, these are all introverted problems and I know them because I've lived them. And I've had to make my own personal adjustments to overcome that and just kind of take what Kobe mentioned in that clip and say, all right, what are the adjustments? Like there are certain seasons in your life where you're just strictly in student mode. So you may go to a coach for the purpose of, hey, teach me what you got. Right. Here's my goal. I can't tell you specifically what I want, but from a big picture standpoint, here's what I'd like to achieve. Teach me. Right. Teach me what you got. But at some point, you gotta cut that off and reproduce what you learned, right? Or like adding your spin to it and putting that back to the marketplace. So yeah, no, fire clip, I wanted to lead off that. Again, and shout out to Kobe, man.
Shout out to Kobe.